Isn't this engaging in cancel culture?
Keep it 100, I be feeling like Campbell soup over white rice, baked chicken with the skin on, yeah, Lowry's with black pepper, I'm fully seasoned with laughter.
What's good, percenters? It's your boy Dre, and welcome to my channel. Keep it on, Dre. So, as we all know, Ma'Khia Bryant, she was a 16-year-old girl who was shot and killed by a police officer in Columbus, Ohio, the same day Derek Chauvin was sentenced on all 3 counts of murder for murdering George Floyd. So LeBron James, the superstar for the Los Angeles Lakers, he tweeted out an image of the police officer saying, "You're next, #accountability." So LeBron James, he used to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland, Ohio, and he's from Akron, Ohio, and this girl was shot and killed in Columbus, Ohio. So the right-wingers, they lost their mind over LeBron James tweeting this, and the LAPD union, they wanted LeBron James to be investigated over this tweet. So take a look at this article. The Los Angeles Protective League has sent a letter to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver requesting a formal investigation into a tweet sent out by LeBron James. After former officer Derek Chauvin was convicted in the death of George Floyd, a Columbus police officer shot and killed 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant. James posted a tweet with the officer's picture and wrote, "You're next, accountability." The Los Angeles Lakers star later deleted the tweet, saying it was being used to create more hate. Fox News reported that Detective James McBride, a member of the Los Angeles Police Protective League Board of Directors, said the NBA should determine if James violated any league policies. LeBron James sent out that tweet to over 50 million followers to incite violence is basically what that tweet did, McBride told Laura Ingraham on the Ingraham Angle this week. No officer wants to take a life, but I'll tell you one thing, that officer saved a life and he's a hero, McBride said. The NBA has not responded. So first off, the officer saying that LeBron James tweeted that to incite violence is complete nonsense. If LeBron James had just said, "You're next," and posted a picture of the officer, maybe that point would be valid. Maybe, right? But he tweeted that and says, "You're next, #accountability." So he's saying the same way that Derek Chauvin was held accountable for his actions, that this officer should be held accountable as well. He's obviously not trying to incite violence. That's complete nonsense. And another point I'd like to make is, isn't this engaging in cancel culture? What this LAPD officer, that's what he's trying to do. He's engaging in cancel culture. Supposedly, the right doesn't take part in cancel culture, which is complete nonsense. Because exactly what would happen, him calling for the NBA to investigate this tweet, find out if he violated league policies. They're either trying to get him fined or they're trying to get him suspended. He's not going to get fired, obviously. He's too great of a player to be fired. I don't know how you could be fired from the NBA. You could be, like, no one would sign you if you're not good enough, but you can't be really fired from the NBA if you're a player. But he's trying to get LeBron James suspended or fined. So isn't that exactly the cancel culture that the right, they complain about, saying that the left does it so much? Complete nonsense. The right always engages in cancel culture. They complain about people on the left not wanting people to speak at college campuses for saying hateful things, and that they're snowflakes. This is exactly that. They're trying to cancel LeBron James for tweeting this. Hypocrites. So LeBron James, he deleted the tweet and he tweeted this: "I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate. This isn't about one officer, it's about the entire system, and they always use our words to create more racism. I am so desperate for more accountability." So several people responded to LeBron James' tweet and the tweet he deleted and posted after. And one of those people includes O.J. Simpson, of all people. So I want you to take a look at this video of O.J. Simpson responding to LeBron James' tweet.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Tough morning listening to all the criticism that LeBron James is getting. I'm a fan of LeBron. I admire the work that he's done, how he's helped his community and how he's helped his friends, and how he's been fighting all of these social issues, especially that of systemic racism in the legal system and with the police departments around our country. But you can't fight every battle. You know, you can't, you got to pick your battles. I mean, it's a war that must be fought, but sometimes you need to take your time and be a little more patient before you comment on some of these bad incidences that are happening with police departments. This one, LeBron should have waited. I'm a little upset with most of the media because they showed us edited versions of what took place with the girl with the knife. They made it sound as if this was another police officer overreacting and killing a young black American. Well, from what I saw when I saw the full tape, the police guy had no choice. He responded. We wish he could have pulled a taser. We wish he could have done it in another way. But in that instance, if he hadn't done what he did, it appeared to me if another young American would have had her life taken. And hey, I can't fault what he did. I wish it was different, but I can't fault it. But LeBron, keep fighting the fight. I think we all got to be a little more patient. I'm against defunding the police. I think you just got to redirect some of those funds to better training and maybe dealing with more psychological training. In any event, God bless. Wear your mask, get your shots. I'm just saying.
So OJ said a lot in that video. So some things I agree with, some things I disagree with. So one thing that he said, a few things he said I agree with is that he said, take time and be patient, and that LeBron James should have waited before tweeting what he tweeted. So I agree with that sentiment that LeBron James should have waited on the details to come out before tweeting what he tweeted and tweeting a picture of the officer. Because the fact patterns of what happened isn't exactly the same as what occurred with George Floyd, or it's very different. The circumstances and situations very different. So one thing that OJ said is that the police officer had no choice but to shoot the girl. I completely disagree with that. So we've seen many times where a person will pull a gun on a police officer. Sometimes the person will end up killing the police officer. And these people are white people, obviously. They would pull the gun, they would shoot at police officers, the police would not shoot back sometimes. And they would say, hey, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, in their loud, aggressive voice. But they wouldn't actually shoot the person. And I even saw one time that a person had a gun pointed at a police officer and the police officer shot that person in the leg. I posted videos about this on my channel in the past. So what the police officer could have done, instead of shooting to kill the girl, he could have shot her in the leg. So he didn't have to shoot and kill her. But like OJ said that I'm going to agree with, I'm not going to fault him completely for doing so, even though he could have taken other actions. Then OJ goes on to say he's against defund the police. He instead believes resources should be allocated to different places for mental health training and things like that. So it's very clear that OJ Simpson doesn't understand what defund the police is. So defund the police doesn't mean get rid of the police. It's been explained many times. What defund the police means, take some money away from police officers, put that in the hand of people who deal with people who are dealing with mental health issues. So what defund the police means is reallocating money that goes in the hands of police officers and reallocating that money into the hands of people who deal with people with mental health. And they shouldn't be as heavily armed as they are. Like, police have military grade weapons. They shouldn't have that type of weapons. Instead, that money should be allocated into education and things like that. So there would still be a police force. They just won't be as funded to be a occupying force in black communities. That's what defund the police means. So O.J. Simpson, he said he doesn't agree with defund the police, but then he describes what defund the police is and that saying that he agrees with it. So a lot of people speak on these topics not knowing exactly what they're talking about. They're not educated on what they're speaking on. And O.J. Simpson, he's one of those people. And then the final thing that O.J. Simpson said is get your shots and wear your mask, which I agree with. So what's my take on LeBron James tweeting what he tweeted? The picture of the officer. He probably shouldn't have tweeted a picture of the officer, but he's clearly not trying to incite violence. He said, "You're next, #accountability." So I don't think the officer is going to be found guilty of anything because of exactly what was going on. The girl was trying to stab someone, so it's not the exact same thing as George Floyd. And I can see why some would say he's justified in shooting this girl, even though he could have done something else. And even though many times officers have gotten guns pulled on them by white people and they haven't killed them, but that's another story. But this guy's not completely at fault for what he did. So that's all I gotta say for today. If you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications so you know when I post videos in the future. But I gotta leave you with one more thing before the video is over, and that's the word of the day. The word of the day for today is cancel culture. Cancel culture is spelled CANCELCULTURE. The definition of cancel culture is a modern form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it be online or social media or in person. So I'm going to push back on that definition a little bit. So the one thing that they say in the definition is it's a modern form of ostracism. And I completely disagree. Cancel culture has existed for many years. An example of that is Jesse Owens. After becoming an Olympian, he was canceled, especially in America. He wasn't allowed to run anymore. He wasn't invited to the White House after winning. He had a hard time finding work, and he was treated like a circus animal, being forced to race against horses, trains, and dogs because he wasn't allowed to race against humans anymore in the Olympics and professionally. So I would consider that cancel culture, which was far before the internet or social media existed. Another thing that I would consider cancel culture is Peter Norman. So many people probably don't know who Peter Norman is. He's the third guy, the white guy involved in the famous, infamous, depending on how you want to look at it, photo of the 1968 Olympics that involved Tommy Smith and John Carlos. John Carlos, who finished in first place, Tommy Smith, who finished in third place. Peter Norman actually finished in second place in that race. So Peter Norman, he was the white guy in the photo who supported the cause of Tommy Smith and John Carlos. And as a result of that, when he returned to Australia, he was completely ostracized. He couldn't find any work, and he died completely broke because they were upset that he supported the protest of the two other black Olympians. And the crazy thing about this is he obviously wasn't allowed to race again in the Olympics. And like I said, he couldn't find work outside the Olympics because no one would hire him because he supported their cause. And fighting for the rights of black people, he saw and understood how black people were being discriminated against in America and across the world. So he supported that, and he died completely broke as a result. That's cancel culture. So ironically, even though he wasn't allowed to compete in the Olympics again at that moment, he's still the fastest man in Australian history today. So those are also examples of cancel culture. So now getting back to what I normally do, now I'm going to attempt to use cancel culture in a sentence. It is very clear that the right takes part in cancel culture quite often, although they don't want to call it that. Hopefully I use that sentence correctly. So again, if you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications so you know when I post videos in the future, because YouTube will not show you my videos if you don't turn on post notifications. And use cancel culture in the comment section below in a sentence so I know you watch the video to the end, or you can tell me examples that you know is how people, the right taking part in cancel culture as well. So again, I really appreciate you watching my video. 100% this. Peace.
Well, I've been stacking up. Nah, really that ain't accurate, cause I just spent my whole damn advance in the past couple months just to compensate for times we ain't have enough. Ooh.